Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Thank you very much for joining this evening on the ISKCON of New Jersey Zoom channel. Tonight we have the privilege of welcoming Her Grace Visakha Priya Mataji and Dvarakadhisa Prabhu from Mumbai. And they have addressed our channel before back in May. It's been a while, so we've missed them quite a bit. They're a very dynamic duo traveling around the world, spreading the message of joyous harmonic living in Krishna consciousness, how to be ideal grahastas, and how to serve Krishna as a family. And they've inspired many devotees, including our own congregation. When things were much better and they could come in person, they actually have come here in Towaco, and a lot of devotees are missing you. So thank you very much for joining this evening. Tonight's topic is a very intriguing one. So we'll be talking on Krishna, the master of mystics, Yogeshwar. Mathura meets Vrindavan. So we look forward to hearing this. Thank you very much for joining. I pass it on to you. Hare Krishna.
Our obeisances to all the wonderful Vaishnavas and the privilege of again reconnecting to all our friends there in Towaco and all the Vaishnavas who are there for this session. We'll begin with our pranam prayers and then we'll start a discussion. Om Agyanatigrandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Sri Guruve Namah Sri Chaitanya Mahavishnam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Tadamahyam Tadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yuta Padakamalam Sri Guru Vaishnavam Sachan Sri Rupam Sagra Jatam Sagana Raghunathanvitam Ham Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Varijana Chaitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Sri Shakhantamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Pancha Kalpatarubhyasya Kripa Sindhu Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare.
So Dvarakadhisa Prabhu, I'd like to request that there's a little bit of choppiness coming in the, I think it's the throughput. We can hear you, but it's just a little bit choppier. So if by any chance there's a couple of things we could address, maybe if you have any other devices that are using your internet, those can be turned off. That's one thing. And another option, if you can somehow be closer to your router, that sometimes resolves it, but it's just slightly choppy. So if you can do one of those two things, that'll be a little bit helpful.
I can speak a little louder also. Will that help?
Yeah, this is good. Actually, it's actually pretty good right now. So we can.
Yeah. Okay. Fine. So Hare Krishna, dear devotees, we are in the auspicious month of the Kartik Mass is on, and we are all in a devotional heightened mood of bhakti, and we are trying to enhance that further by taking advantage of the auspiciousness available during this month. So one very special way of worshipping Krishna, of course, is we can worship him with the lamp, which we are doing every day, morning, evening, with agarbatti and all that we do in terms of archana vidhi. However, we also take advantage of this by worshipping Krishna through our ears. So Chakravarti Pad mentions that one of the names of Krishna actually is Punya Shravana Kirtana. That is one of his names. Punya means, of course, Krishna conscious Punya, devotional merit, which comes to the practitioner simply by performing two activities of Punya Shravana and Punya Kirtana, right? So that being the case, we're going to talk about Krishna, how that part of the Lord's beautiful Leela when he has just left from Vrindavan and is now going to meet Mathura Vasis. We're going to take that section of discussion. And we know that this very special mission was given to the hands of his uncle, devoted uncle, Akrura. And at a very special place, which is more like a transition place between Mathura and Vrindavan, where they're what is called as Akrura Ghat, where they take their bath there, being on the chariot. And there Akrura is amazed to see that within the waters, as he's taking his bath, the Lord is there on Ananta Shesha, and Balramji is transformed to Ananta Shesha, and the Lord is now the form of what we see as Ranganath Swami in Sri Rangam, that form of the Lord lying on the beautiful snake with the hood above. And Akrura is aroused into a devotional state and starts offering beautiful prayers of reverential love. And when he comes out, and Krishna is seeing him, he's sitting on the chariot and said, he tells his uncle, so your eyes are wide and filled with tears. Did you see something very amazing? So Akrura says, what amazing thing is there for me to see once I have seen somebody like you? So he pacifies himself. He understands that he's on a very special mystical mission now. And they go forward and they reach towards a little bit of the end of the day into this very special place called Mathura, which Krishna is going for the first time in this life, right? So he holds the hands of Akrura and says, Akrura ji, now you go home and please give the news to Kamsa that we have arrived and we will go and see the city. Akrura insists that you please come with me to my home and bless it so that my forefathers and everything is satisfied. But Krishna says, I have come here for a mission and that mission is to be completed first and then I'll come to your place. So Krishna in the mood of, when you go to a new city, you want to see the city, right? What's there? The buildings, the people, the roads, the architecture, whatever else. So Krishna is in the mood of wanting to just see this very luxurious, very, very opulent city of Mathura, right? It is something like what must have been, Ravan Nagari or whatever, it is, the description is given by Shukdev Goswami, is full of such massive opulence, the wide roads, intersections filled with high big arches, gold-laden doors there, and beautiful gardens all over the place, and palatial mansions. It's a place which is full of all opulences which one can imagine. It's like a heavenly planet practically. And Krishna is of course going there, and he is walking through. He's walking right now on that what called as like in India we have the Rajpath, the place where the Grand Road. So Krishna is walking on this King's Road. This is the road which the king walks. And of course, the king of all kings, Krishna, is now walking on that road with Balramji Maharaj, and of course, his beautiful herd of his entourage of covered boys who are just so happy to go into the new city. They have not seen this before. They have seen Braja with trees and cows, and you don't see cows here. You don't see simple trees. You're seeing big building. It's like somebody from a village coming to see New York, and how amazed he would be to see New York with all its high-rise buildings. Something like that is happening. The emotions are something similar. And as they're walking further, some wonderful things start happening, and Krishna is going to do something which is very wonderful. And as he's going by, he sees this dhobi, right, who's carrying some very, very special clothes, and very special clothes. And he says, hey, who are you and who are these clothes for? And this clothes to me. And if you do that, I can assure you, I will give you the highest benedictions and you'll be very blessed, right? And this person looks with a very skewed eye and said, who are you? And you know what audacity you are talking about? This is the king's clothes. You guys are people who are walking on mountains wearing kopins and barefoot. And you are, this is not clothes fit for people like you. And if you ever say something like this, actually the king's man will come here and slash you and kill you and don't even talk about this and plunder all your wealth. So he gives a very harsh, very strong, very brazenly insulting type of communication. And we are reminded over here that this person actually, from his previous life, is actually the person who spoke ill words towards Lord Ramachandra when Sita Maiya had come back, and then his wife had come back overnight having stayed elsewhere. And he had insulted Lord Ramachandra, who's a figure of magnanimity and figure of Maryada. And this demonic nature was persistent. And right now, he says that he has the special privilege of seeing the Supreme Lord face to face. It is said he performed so much of tapasya in his previous lives to get the Lord face to face, but his heart had not changed to a devotional heart. And therefore Krishna had to do the needful. He just touches his neck with his finger, and then he beheads him, because Paritrana Sadhuna Vinascha Dushkritam. Having issue with somebody like Kamsa, he had become very demoniac. And of course, other people just fly away in fear. As the Lord goes further, then he finds there's a beautiful person who's a weaver, a cloth weaver, and seeing Krishna. See, when you have a devotional heart, what happens is your heart just erupts with devotional sentiments, and you naturally feel like serving, because that's our Nitya Siddha. Our Nitya Siddha is to serve the Lord, and that sort of just automatically comes when you see a great soul, when you see a spiritual master, when you see Srila Prabhupada, automatically feel like, okay, now I want to serve this person, because that happens. So here he gets his best ornaments, and he personally just welcomes them to his shop, and he puts it on the Lord's body, his bracelets, his armlets, his various things he does, and just decorates the Lord's body. Why does he get this privilege? And this is a very interesting thing. This person is so special. He had prepared the wedding clothes of Lord Ramachandra when he was actually, there at the time of his wedding. He had prepared clothes for Lord Ramachandra and for Lakshmanji Maharaj, right? And he wanted to do it, and of course, he had given it to the king there, and it was then delivered to the Lord. But he wanted to do it himself, and now he got this privilege. So Krishna is actually always fulfilling the devotional sentiments and desires of his devotees. That's Krishna's greatest joy in life. More than anything else, he loves to do is to help his devotees fulfill their Krishna conscious desires to serve him. And here he gets the privilege of being served personally by this great weaver. And he blesses him. Krishna is always there to bless. His connection with Krishna never goes in vain. He says, I bless you with memory, long life, all opulence in this world, more than what you can ever imagine, a lot of wealth, unfailing wealth, and of course, unfailing intelligence, right? And this way he is blessed in ways you cannot even imagine, with prosperity of every type. And Krishna is now very happy. He's wearing these, he's wearing king's clothes. Now he has the king's ornaments. Chakravarti Maharaj says that, tomorrow there's going to be a wrestling match. If there are metallic, ornaments on his body, they would probably hurt him, because he's going to get pounded by, in that wrestling match. So he is wearing ornament made of cloth. So they're not going to hurt the Lord's body, of course. That's what is explained. And then as he walks further, now everyone's very happy. The mood is very great. The clothes are there. The ornaments are there. But there are no garlands now. So now they just walk into the house of this great florist whose name is Sudama. Right? And as the Lord goes there, oh, how happy is Sudama. He is just overjoyed. He can see these are the people who are worthy of all that he has. He wants to just give his life wholesale to Krishna and Balram and his dear devotees. And he gets his two very, very special, the choicest, maybe organic flowers or whatever they were, the soft flowers, multicolored flowers. And he has a very special, he's a florist. In his previous life, he was a florist in the heavenly planets. So you can imagine his skills are very high. He was there in Kuvera's garden as Himamali, right? And he had worshipped at that time. He's been a florist even in his previous life also. He was worshipping Lord Shiva. And worshipping Lord Shiva, he had a very special type of seva to Lord Shiva. He would give him every day for 5,000 years, 300 lotuses on the lingam of Mahadev, right? And in this very special worship vrata he had taken, he is pleasing Ashutosh so wonderfully, and said, Ashutosh appears to him and said, what do you want? I'm just so pleased with your flowers and your devotion for a long time. He said, can I have the privilege of seeing the supreme personality of Godhead who is perfect in every way, and I can get a chance to serve him, right? So how we can imagine, whenever we get a chance to serve Krishna, how special is that? Because it takes millions of lifetimes to get a chance to serve Krishna. It's not an ordinary blessing. It's a very special blessing of the Lord. And years, Lord Shiva, of course, says Tathastu. And in this life, Krishna just walks into his house, right? And Krishna says, I'm just so pleased with you, right? He's remembering Mahadev's blessings on the Sudama florist. What do you want from me? And the benedictions of Sudama are very special for all of us as practicing devotees to remember, right? Because this is what would probably be the ideals for all of us. He said that, my dear Lord, please give me unflinching memory in always remembering you. Unfailing memory. I can always remember you in all phases of life. Smartavya Satatam Vishnu. And that's what he asked for. Second meditation I have asked for you, my dear Lord, is please give me friendly dealings and friendship with your dear devotees. Maitri, right? Maitri with devotees. Yes, we want to have friendship with all devotees because that is part of Sakhya, right? With the Lord and his devotees. And he said, please also give me a feeling of kindness and compassion towards all conditioned souls, what we call as Jivodaya, right? And Krishna, of course, is Varadaraj. He's the Lord who gives benedictions beyond compare, right? He's the topmost of benefactors. He said, "You, I bless you with what you have asked for," and he gives you, like, when you go to a great person, he gives you what you ask for, and he also gives you something else. Take this and take this and take this. So he just gives you even more than what you have asked for. And again, the same thing. He says, "I give you a long life. I give you opulences. I give you wealth." And Krishna gives him benedictions after benedictions because he's just so happy. And now he just walks further. Now the setting is ready. Krishna is having all these clothes. He has his ornaments. He has his garland, and everyone is just so happy. We must remember there's a place where Krishna and the God boys became very, very happy. They were very extremely happy. And they now see a very special person on the road who is what is called as Trivakra.
So as Krishna and Balaram were walking on the road, obviously, as soon as they had entered Mathura, Nanda Maharaj was quite concerned because he knew that all these Gopas and Krishna and Balaram, they are from a village, Gokul. And in the village, you can be what you are, but now that you're entering a city like Mathura, you have to be little cultured and sophisticated. So he had instructed all the Gopas that, okay, you want to go for sightseeing, but be careful, this is not our Gokul. This is Mathura. And you have to behave properly and you have to go. So take care and come back soon because, this is not a very casual place. So even though Nanda Maharaj had told them, but Gopas and Krishna were having a gala time, as was explained before by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, that they were just seeing all the different sights and they were enjoying taking things from people. And as Krishna was walking, it is mentioned that he was walking with the gait of an elephant. I remember when we had gone to Ranganath temple for the first time, it is said that the Lord has different gaits with which he walks. He walks like a swan sometimes, he walks like a snake going up and down, and sometimes he walks with the gait of an elephant. So this is how he was walking, and everybody was just so much captivated by seeing the beauty of Krishna. And actually, it was like a festival for the eyes. As we say, Netrotsavam. The words used is Netrotsavam. That they were looking at Krishna. He was having shark-shaped earrings, and they were swaying to and fro. He had curly hair, black hair, and which was moving back and forth. And everybody was captivated, but who were the most captivated were the women of Mathura. Different symptoms started happening. All the obviously it was like a normal day, and the women were doing different things. Some were doing household chores, some were getting ready for the evening, some were having a massage, some were feeding their babies, and some places, some ceremonies were going on. And in spite of all of that, what happened when they started seeing Krishna? Those who were feeding their babies, they just suddenly they left their babies. And those who were taking massage, they did not take a bath, and they just came out like that. Some wore half clothes, some were adorned their body with half jewelry, and they just ran onto the street. And one amazing thing which was mentioned is some of them were getting married, and they were circumambulating the fire with their husbands, and they just left circumambulating halfway the husbands, and they rushed to see Krishna. And it is said some of the ladies were watching Krishna through lattice windows, some climbed on the rooftops, some were standing in the courtyards and watching Krishna. I mean, different things were happening. And Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur mentions that these women were the most fortunate because instantly they had only heard about Krishna, his beauty and about his qualities and his charm. But just by the way Krishna was glancing at them, just by the way Krishna was smiling at them, just everything captivated them so much that instantly they developed love. And we know Krishna is known as Rasaprada. One of his names is Rasaprada. So he was bestowing different rasas on the different people who were watching him. So, to the gopis, to these women, he bestowed the rasa of conjugal love for him, and that greed which they were developing in their heart to see Krishna. We know Rupa Goswami mentions in Nectar of Devotion, Nectar of Instruction, that Lolyam hi ekamulam. The only prize for attaining Krishna is what? Lolyam, that greed. So they all just became so greedy. Some of them is mentioned, they just stood like painted pictures. They couldn't move looking at Krishna. So to the women, he gave the rasa of conjugal love. But to his friends, the Gopas, what type of love did he give? He gave them hasya ras, because they were just simply laughing. Whatever they were seeing, they were simply laughing and enjoying themselves, having festivities. And to the public in general who were watching them, he bestowed Adbhut Ras, which is the ras of just being wonderstruck. They were just wonderstruck at looking at Krishna, exchanging all the different exchanges with the people around. So it was just a Netrotsav, Karanotsav, whatever Utsav you could talk of. Everybody was just having a festival. And just at that time, this one hunchback lady, whose name was Trivakra, she came in front of Krishna. And she was known as Trivakra because she was bent in three places. So she came and she was holding beautiful sandalwood pulp in her hand. And it is mentioned she had two colored sandalwood pulp in her hand. One was yellow colored and one was blue colored. And she came, and all the cowherd boys were standing around and they started jumping and clapping their hands. And Krishna asked her, he said, "Oh, beautiful lady, who are you? And for whom are you carrying this sandalwood paste? Give it to us. And if you give it to us, we will bestow you the biggest great fortune eternally, So suddenly, she was taken aback, but she was so captivated by looking at Krishna. She said, "I am the maid servant of Kamsa." And Kamsa enjoys this fragrant sandalwood pulp, which I gives him every day. However, at this particular moment, I cannot see anybody more handsome than the two of you. And it is said she mentioned two means Krishna and Balram, because she somehow wanted to conceal her attraction towards Krishna so that it doesn't get revealed to everybody. She just said, two of you. And all the cowherd boys, they just started jumping up and down and they were making fun. "Oh, you are the maid servant of Kamsa. Maybe, oh, beautiful one, maybe Kamsa should marry you." So they just started making jokes about her and all. And Krishna realized, that he's joking like that. And all this was embarrassing Kubja. Her other name was Kubja. And Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur mentions who was this Kubja. Three things are mentioned about her. Firstly, it is mentioned that Kubja was an expansion of Satyabhama. Satyabhama is one of the queens of Krishna. So she was an expansion of her. Another explanation given is that she was the expansion of Bhumi Devi. And because, as we know, Bhumi Devi is so much overburdened by sinful activities, so she has become bent. So she was bent in three places because of that. But a wonderful explanation is given is that Kubja was also a reincarnation of Surpankha from Ram Leela. The Dhobi was from Ram Leela, the washman was from Ram Leela, the garland maker was from Ram Leela, the weaver was from Ram Leela. Similarly, Kubja also was expansion of Surpankha. And it is mentioned, as we know in Ramayana, when Surpankha saw Ram, she was hit by the arrow of Cupid, and she just became so much attracted to him and she wanted to marry him. But after being spurned by, Ram and Lakshman, she became so much agitated that she rushed to Ravan and she narrated the whole incident to Ravan and instigated Ravan to abduct Sita. But after Ravan went ahead with his pastimes, so to say, she went to Pushkar Tirtha. And Pushkar, she went into the water, and for 10,000 years she did tapasya. She started doing austerities over there, and she pleased Lord Shiva, right? And Lord Shiva appeared to her, and he asked, because as we know, Shiva is known as Ashutosh. He said that ask for any benediction, and she said, I asked for the benediction of getting Lord Ram as my husband. And Shiva said that is not possible in this particular incarnation because Ram is Ekapatni Vrata year. However, your desire will get fulfilled at the end of Dwapar Yug, when that same Lord Ram will appear as Krishna and you will appear in Mathura. So she waited for so many years, and when Krishna came to Mathura, she came in front of Krishna and she asked, she offered this sandalwood pulp to Krishna. So after having offered this sandalwood pulp, obviously Krishna chose the yellow pulp to adorn him because Krishna is dark complexion. And we know, Krishna is the master of dressing up. And he chose the contrast color. We always know that black and white and, contrasting colors look good. So Krishna took the yellow pulp and adorned himself, and Balaramji took the blue one because Balaram is white in color. So the blue pulp looked beautiful on Balaram, and the yellow pulp looked beautiful on Krishna. And both of them became very, very pleased. And Krishna decided, as we know that he is Varadaraj, that let the benediction not go in vain. So what did he do? He went to Kubja and he put his feet on the two toes of Kubja, and with his two fingers he touched her chin and pulled her up and straightened her up. And she became one of the most beautiful ladies with very shapely limbs, and just by the touch of Krishna, Kubja became so much attracted because Krishna and the cowherd boys had been joking and embarrassing Kubja. Kubja decided to take her sweet revenge, and she started pulling on Krishna's upper cloth, and she started embarrassing Krishna by telling him that, oh handsome one, please come to my house. And Krishna was just taken aback, He didn't know what to say. So with a side glance, he looked at Balram and he looked at the other cowherd boys, because he looked at the cowherd boys, and then, just to diffuse the situation, he said that, oh, Mathura is such an opulent place. Why? Because over here, even strangers are invited to the homes of people as guests over here. So Kubja is such a beautiful and kind-hearted lady. She's inviting to her house. But I will not come right now. Right now, I have come with a mission. After I complete my mission and after I complete sightseeing Mathura, I will come to your house surely, With the sweet words, he pacified Kubja, and all the cowherd boys, again, they started jumping up and down and they started moving forward. And this is the flavor, which mentions that this is how Vrindavan met Mathura. Vrindavan meets Mathura. The formality of Mathura and the informality of Braj, when they came together, it created such a splash of festivities that it just kept going sweeter and sweeter as they kept walking down the King's Road.
And there was now time for action. The time for action. Krishna wanted to proclaim his presence in Mathura in a very special and in a very graphic way. So he asked people that I've heard there's a very special bow over here. Where is that bow? And some of the boys there who on the road, they said, I'll tell you where it is. So they take Krishna to the actual place where this huge bow is there. I mean, it's like a bow. You think of a bow which we see, like 4 feet to 5 feet, maybe a big one. But this is a huge bow, several feet long. And this was given it's like, when we have medals in our house, when we get a medal, we keep it in a very special place in a showcase, right? So this is like a medal which Kamsa had, achieved by his hard labor of conquering the world and practically even conquering parts of the universe, right? So Parshuramji Maharaj had given this to Kamsa. So it was a very special bow. It was so strong, so powerful, so heavy it required 5,000 strong men of Kamsa's, entourage to even carry it and move it. So we can imagine the whatever bow is that. We got 5,000 people to carry it, right? So it's very special. It's definitely kept in a very ornate showcase. And Krishna just pushes himself because it was being worshipped there by people guarded very closely. He pushes himself through and goes there, and with with absolutely no effort whatsoever. He just holds the bow, strings it, and within no time he just pulls the string and twang. There's such a huge crashing, tumultuous sound that practically shakes all the layers of the entire universe. Even starts shaking in fear the elephants who hold the planets. So that the amount of the blast of the sound was 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 unimaginable, and it created so much more fear in the hearts of everyone who was there. And the sound definitely created fear in the heart of Kamsa, because he knew that this is a death warning which is there, and he became more palpitating in anxiety, fear, and apprehension that this is going to be a death call for me. Having done this now, Krishna has broken the bow, and then he has done enough to proclaim his presence. He has made an impact on so many people in Mathura. He has made his presence felt, right? And it's time to go back and retire. And Nanda Maharaj said, "You come back soon." So father is anxious. What's happening to my children there? So they come back, and Krishna has dinner. What is Krishna's dinner? It is not like a lavish chapan bhog here. They are covered men, so they have bring milk and some rice. So doodh and chawal. There's a simple meal there, and they go to bed. But Nanda Maharaj is not able to get sleep. He is thinking, what is going to happen tomorrow? Because Krishna has made so much of, and create anxiety. He's killed the washerman. He has, and of course, Krishna amongst the bow is also there. So bow is broken in two, and it is said that 5,000 people came attacking Krishna and Balaram. 5,000 people, right? Soldiers. And with the part of the bow, Krishna just, within no time, just, does enough to send him to the court of Yamaraj. So 5,000 people killed. So it's a massive news in Mathura that two people have come who are like demigod beauty, and they've created so much of uproar in Mathura. Anyway, now Kamsa is started getting hallucinations, because he remembers, of course, very well the prophecy was there at the time of Krishna's birth in Mathura, right? And he gets hallucinations. He's not able to sleep the whole night. He sees a shadow which has got holes inside. He sees himself carried by donkeys. He's being bathed in oil. He sees his ghostly form, and he's getting such delusions and hallucinations, and he's in complete paranoia. We cannot even imagine this powerful man who has subjugated people like Putana, Bakasur, Aghasur, Narakasur, Jarasandha. He had subjugated all of them, and they themselves were like mighty warriors. But he was the king of all of them. Practically all the demonic people who are not conquered by demigods were all conquered by Kamsa. But this man of unlimited might is now in gross fear for his own life. All that being done now, preparations are in place now for the next day for the wrestling match. Because Kamsa was always saying that if Krishna and Balaram come here, I send demons to my associates to Vrindavan, and they are, he just, destroys them. But if I call them on my home pitch, maybe I can do better. Like every cricket team feels like that, right? So now Krishna Balaram is the home pitch. But as the wrestling preparations are being made, drums are being sounded, the whole atmosphere is full of, so much of anticipation, right? So walking into this whole huge arena, big stadium, right? People have come from all over the place, right? From all over the world, people have come to see this very special match, right? It's a very deciding match. So great kings have come, people of honor have come, celebrities have come. At the entrance of the wrestling of the arena is a powerful elephant. An elephant with a very powerful history. He is Kovalya Pida. Who is Kovalya Pida? Kovalya Pida is not an ordinary elephant which you would see in the zoo or on the roads in India. He has himself the power of 100,000 huge elephants. That's his power, right? in his previous life, he was a son of Bali Maharaj and extremely powerful in archery, use of arms, very sturdy, strong body. He was expert at using weapons, and he was going to see have darshan of Sri Ranganath Swami, the huge line there, and being very sort of bully by nature, he just pushes people around and he just cuts through the line and without respecting the people who are standing there. He is standing there, rishis are standing there, yogis are standing there. He just goes through everybody and then he knocks off a great sage called as Trita Rishi, Trita Muni, right? He knocks him off and he curses, "You rascal, you think you're a strong man, like an elephant you are, but I curse you, right? You'll be an elephant in your next life." So he becomes stunned because he didn't anticipate something like this. He falls down, begs forgiveness, asks for mercy to please have the curse modified or changed favorably to his advantage. He said, "Okay, I see that you are repentant for your nonsensical work. I bless you that you will actually be dealt with properly by the Supreme God. You will see him face to face," right? So here his name was Mandagati. That was his name at that time, right? So now as Kuvalepida, he was brought by Jarasandh after being captured, they required 100,000 strong elephants to capture this Kuvalepida. So we can imagine this Kuvalepida is a monster of unlimited strength, and trained to kill people. He was a warrior. As soon as Krishna and Balaram are entering the arena, right, that it is blocked, the area is blocked. And Krishna said, "Okay, give me way, I have to go through," right? And then the Mahu just puts the goad on the elephant, and the elephant is not charging. He's become angry, he's been aroused, and he knows he has to kill, right? So they charge at Krishna. And of course, Krishna very dexterously, he's prepared. Krishna is always prepared for everything, because that's what God is all about. He knows what's going to happen, right? So then he goes and he just goes and hides behind the elephant's legs. The elephant then catches him in his trunk and whirls him around, and Krishna slips away, and then he just dodges him here and there, and Krishna has fun. He wants to give the people a nice fun. He dodges him around, and ultimately he takes the tail of Kuvalepida and just drags him around. This is insulting for an elephant to have his tail of that strength, to have his hind side being pulled and pushed and cajoled like that. It is absolutely insulting and he gets up and he then wants to gnaw him completely with his powerful tusk, right? And this just jumps on his back, right? Pounds him down, puts him to the floor, right? And hits him so hard, and Kuvalepida is dead. And he plucks out both the powerful tusk. One goes to Balaram, other goes to Krishna, right? And in this way, they have now these two tusks in their hands. And then when people come to attack him, everyone is destroyed by this tusk. And now Krishna and Balaram are with even more confidence than before walking into the arena of the match. There is Chanur, there is Mustik, there is Kuta, there is Shala, there is Toshala. These are wrestlers. Now we must understand they are mystical wrestlers. Like Keshi is a mystical horse, Arisa is a mystical bull, right? So they are mystical wrestlers. That means they are trained heavily through mystical power to kill people through the skill of wrestling. That means when they hold a person in their arms, right? By wrestling, that person can never ever leave them. He will be crushed. He'll be crushed within their arms. So they are very, very mystically powerful people. And Krishna, of course, he is the master of all mystics. They may be mystical of a very high caliber. They are on tapasya for a long, long time. But Krishna is the master of all mystics. He is Yogeshwara, right? And now Chandra comes and attacks Krishna, and Mustika comes and attacks Balramji Maharaj, right? And now there's going to be a huge fight. Now we can imagine there are mountainous, huge, highly muscular, stone-like bodies, and in their opposite side, their opponent is a small boy of about 10 years old, with the skin as soft as butter, with features which are so sweet and extremely delicate, and so vulnerable Krishna is looking that he is going to be, immediately in no time being finished off by this powerful, wrestlers. So obviously it's a completely mismatched type of duel. Anyway, they lock themselves up, right? They lock themselves up, and Prabhupada describes very beautifully how all the skills of wrestling which are possible in this world are exhibited by both these matchmaking people to the maximum limit of perfection, right? There's locking of hands, there's pounding, there's fisting, there's twists of various types, there's pulling, pushing, throwing people on the ground, right? Twirling them around, and this goes on. And we can only imagine what is happening in the audience, right? The audience, there are people of various types, and this is a very special, Sridhar Goswami reveals that how different people see the whole thing in a very different way. And the beautiful sloka is there, Malanam Api Asnir, where where different perceptions are given, where, now this is very special because, depending upon your bhav of your heart, you will see what type of lens your consciousness is wearing is what you see the whole world as. As I said, the world is a mirror of your own mind. Is it not psychologically correct? So this is what is really happening here. They're seeing the same person, Krishna and Balaram, who are of tender age, village going people. But to Kamsa and the wrestlers, they look like death personified. To yogis, they look like perfected yogis. To Nanda Maharaj, they look like the most innocent, sweet, cuddly, nice children. To the friends, they look like the most perfect friend they have. To the ladies sitting there in the audience, they feel that they are Cupid personified. They are in fact Kandarpa Koti Kamaniya. They are thousands of Cupid all in one. Right? So different people see him in different ways, right? But it's the same Krishna, right? So all depends on our consciousness, right? Krishna is the same, God is the same, He's always the same, but we are different. Depending on what consciousness we carry, that's how we see the Lord. The match is now taking place in such a powerful way, and there is sweating taking place on Krishna's body. And as this is happening, the women become extremely anxious and nervous. So this is unfair match. This is injustice in this assembly. All justice has left this assembly. In front of the king itself, this completely mismatched thing is going on over here. Tender boys are being pounded by this giant people. So anybody even sees this match going on is going to be inflicted by sinful reactions. This is absolutely unfair, unjust. This is happening right in front of us. We should not be even sitting, we should be going away from here. And at that time, Sridhar Goswami mentions that Krishna, within his own heart, and here he uses the word master of mystics. That's where he uses this word, Sridhar Goswami, right? He said, the master of mystics understands the sensitivity and the mood of these wonderful ladies who are in love with him. And Krishna said, realizes, I should not give them more anxiety. I should not give them more, they're suffering seeing me, in this situation. And therefore Krishna in his heart of heart decides, I should bring an end to this match, right? And with that decision in his mind, he just takes hold of Kamsa. Now Chandra has been thrown to the ground. Chandra gets up with a violent vengeance, takes both his hands and is trying to pound Krishna. Krishna grabs his hands and twirls him around, and the centrifugal force of his twirling, Chandra is thrown and he is dead. Balaramji gets the signal also, and he does the same thing with Mustika. Mustika, he just pounds him so heavily on his chest 3 times after a big good match takes place that he just vomits blood, right? And now Kuta comes and attacks Krishna. Saladosal is also there, and within no time they are all finished, right? And all other wrestlers who are supposed to be coming thereafter, they just run away in fear. And we can only now imagine what is the condition of Kams, right? He's sitting on this very high seat, the king of kings, the king of the practice of the entire planet. He's sitting on a high seat, borrowed throne, not borrowed, but stolen throne from Indra, the huge parasol above him. But his heart is in complete anxiety and palpitation. And seeing all this happening, Kamsa proclaims something very, very derogatory. He says, drive these two wicked boys from the city and arrest Vasudev and bring them out and kill them. Confiscate all the properties of the covered boys, right? And leave them with nothing in their possession. Arrest that fool Nanda Maharaj and also finish him off. Kill my most evil father, Ugrasena, right? In this way, he proclaims something extremely offensive, and Krishna is not going to tolerate this. He already knows how his previous brothers have been killed, how Vasudeva and Devaki, his dear mother and father, have been penalized, harassed, tormented for so many years. And now when Krishna sees this very revengeful, cruel words of Kamsa, Krishna is not going to, he becomes angry like fire, and he jumps from the arena right on the top, and he goes to where Kamsa is. It's just like a huge jump, massive jump, a high jump, and just lands right in front of Kamsa, right? And then there's a big duel. It's just like, to eat, and Kamsa just jumps off his seat and in the air, right? And they fight like two powerful eagles in the air. It's drops him to the ground, right? And the reception is very, very fanciful. It's very, very wonderful, right? Kamsa removes his sword, he removes his shield and starts fighting, and this time dodging him, takes off with his hands, right? And throws him to the ground, straddles him on his chest and pounds him, and Kamsa is dead, right? And to prove that Kamsa is dead, Krishna takes all of his hair and drags him around. Prabhupada said it's just like a lion will move around a powerful elephant, to show and prove to the people that the cruel king Kamsa is now no more, right? So this is in this way Kamsa is killed, right? And also it is mentioned that how the spark, the spiritual spark of all the killed wrestlers and Kamsa just goes into the sky, and they enter into Krishna's body, right? And everyone sees that. And this is, of course, we understand that Krishna, even though he may be apparently behaving as an enemy, he is never anybody's enemy. He is Surdam Sarva Bhutanam. He's everyone's good friend, and therefore Krishna just loves everyone. Krishna's love is absolutely impartial. And for even people who are so much evil-minded towards him and want to kill him, he gives them Saropya Mukti, he gives them Savijya Mukti, right? He gives them liberation from the cycle of birth and death, right? So that's what is awarded to these wrestlers also. And now Krishna goes, and immediately his first mind is to release his father and mother who have been incarcerated in this dungeon for so many years. And he releases from the bonds, the chains of his dear mother and his father, who are just so happy to see him. They're seeing after 10 long years. We can imagine the heart of Vasudeva and Devaki. What must be their heart in such, trying situations with so much of stress. They had sent Krishna away to Gokul, and now they're seeing their son, the beloved son is seeing Balaram, and they're just so happy. And as the chains are released, they are embraced, and Krishna puts a mystical cover over them. And even though Vasudeva knows what has happened, but still they embrace him with a lot of love and Vatsalya bhav. Yes, my dear friends, dear devotees, it is we also who are being bound in this world. Let's not forget, we are but the jivas. We are bound by the three ropes of the three modes of material nature. And simply by giving submissive oral reception in a devotional mood, a devotional attitude to these beautiful leelas of the Lord, right, which are so mercifully given to us by Srila Prabhupada in his holy books, right, by hearing them and allowing those leelas to enter into the core of our hearts and remembering them more so often, and the meeting of Krishna in this particular way, we will also very soon be released from these chains of birth and death. And just like the gopis who are always thinking of Krishna, therefore Prabhupada calls them, so Goswami calls them as mystics. The highest mystics in this world are not people who do mystical work, but who are always with their regular work of churning butter, of milking the cows, of making ghee, and doing various things in the household chores. They're always thinking of Krishna, right? So Prabhupada calls them as the most wonderful, most exalted mystics. And of course, Krishna is their master, the master of all mystics. The biggest mystics are the gopis, and Krishna is the master of the greatest mystics in this world. right? So obeisances to the Supreme Lord. And I thank you all very much for giving both of us a chance to uh, narrate this Mathura meeting Vrindavan Leela, which is so beautifully embalmed in the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Thank you all very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Visakha, Priya, Mataji, Dvarakadhisa Prabhu, for such an engaging and dynamic and energetic narration of the Lord's pastimes in Mathura. Sometimes those are not always heard as often as we need to, and there's so much life in every single thing the Lord did. Even just the way He gave His mercy to every single person He met, to the same degree that they surrendered to Him, and then a little bit more and a lot more. It's quite amazing. It gives a lot of hope to all of us that the Lord knows what we want, even much more than we know what we want, and then He purifies our desires, and He fulfills our desires. It's quite astounding. And especially those of us who are aspiring to become more purified, more closer to Krishna, and more aligned with what Krishna wants us to be, it's really very joyous to hear how much the Lord wants us, how much He wants to help us, and just the way you explained everything is really, really nectarian. So thank you so much on behalf of all the devotees here. If anybody has any other comments or appreciations if you'd like to make, we have, by the way, so Nilmani Prabhu is also here. Nilmani Prabhu is our temple president, and then I'm going to make some announcements. And of course, we're also fortunate to have His Holiness Jayadvaita Swami Maharaj in our audience. He's always here. He's a pillar of this channel, and it's really a good fortune that he's always here with us with his blessings.
Our special obeisances to His Holiness Jayadvaita Maharaj, and privileged to have him. Nilamani Prabhu is there, and many of our senior worshipful godbrothers and Swami. So it's a pleasure to speak in front of you. It is a small mouth speaking big things. So in one sense, it is embarrassing to speak all this in your presence. At the same time, you will see us as small children learning to speak proper language. So you will with that mood of a father, you will bless us, and we can continue to speak in our broken words for Krishna's glories.
Sweet words. Thank you so much.
So, thank you, Maharaj.
Thank you so much, Dvarakadhisa Prabhu, Visakha Mataji, for such a wonderful narration. Just hearing you made me think of your presence in your classes here in Towaco Temple, and just missing them so much, and hoping and praying that you'll be able to come next year in the summer, hopefully with all this COVID, praying that it'll be behind us and then you can actually visit us and share with us some of your real nectar with us in person. So thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So I'm going to make a couple of announcements, and then we'll open it for everybody else to offer a quick thank you. So just upcoming programs. So Monday, Wednesday, Friday, of course, we have His Holiness Jayadvaita Swami Maharaj. But this Saturday morning is the last session of the Pathways to Perfection on the Bhakti Center channel. So please join for that by His Holiness Sachinandan Swami Maharaj. So please join on tinyurl.com Bhakti Center. That's at 9 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time on Saturday morning. And of course, our channel here on Sunday evening at the same time, we have His Grace Chaturatma Prabhu. He's a great devotee of Govardhan. And it is actually Govardhan Puja Day, and he will be talking about the Leelas of Govardhan. So please join for that. It's a very, very special treat to hear from Chaturatma Prabhu. And then, of course, next week we have the Divine Disappearance Observance of Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada's disappearance day is next Wednesday. So in celebration, in observance of that, we'll have a special katha on Tuesday and Thursday by His Holiness Giriraj Swami Maharaj, and then on Thursday is Shruta Kirti Prabhu. So please make a note of that, something not to be missed. And of course, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, we have His Holiness Jayadvaita Swami Maharaj always. So please do join us. There's no cost to join us except just for your time. And it's just wonderful nectar when we get excellent kathakars such as Dvarakadhisa Prabhu and Visakha Priya Mataji, and we're just very indebted to you. So I'd like to request all the devotees, if you like, you may unmute yourself at this time to express our thanks to Prabhuji and Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Hare
Krishna,
Krishna.
Prabhuji.
Thank you so much. Dandavat pranam, Prabhuji, Mataji. Wonderful class.
Krishna, Dandavat, Hari Bol.
Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna, Dvarakadhisa Prabhu and Mataji.
Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Thank
Krishna,
you.
Thank you so much.
Radhika Mataji, Hari Bol. Dandavad.
Mataji, how are you?
Fine.
Hari Bol. Hey, Jitu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hari Bol.
Are you okay? All of both of you?
Yes.
Jai.
Dvarakadhisa Prabhu,
Hare Krishna.
Mataji, Visakha Mataji. Very nice class.
Hare
Thank you.
Krishna.
Very much detail. So nice. You prepared so nice. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Guru. Hari Bol.
There you go.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Wonderful class. Beautiful class. Thank you.
Hare
Thank
Krishna.
you.
Hare Krishna.
That's actually my sister from Australia, Dvarakadhisa Prabhu and Visakha Priya Devi. Ujjwala Ras
Hare
Devi.
Krishna. Thank you.
Jai.
Hare Krishna.
Hari Bol. Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki
Jai.
Thank you so much. Hari Hari Bol.
Yay.
Radhe Radhe, Hari Bol.